Hi. I'm Marcin Kulik. I work at Logic. Currently I'm working at Companion project. We work in Krakow. And I share my thoughts and code at GitHub and Twitter as Sickle. You may know me from several projects I've been releasing. If you're a heavy terminal user, you may know some of these, like Rockshell, GitDude, and others. And now we'll start with a quick history lesson. Who knows what it is? It's not Macintosh. Not Atari, no.
Digital. It was bought by Compaq and run by HP.
It's VT100, Virtual Terminal 100, which was released in '78. Who was on this planet in '78? Hands up. Okay, 3, 4, all right. And the thing is that this VT100 is a foundation for all the terminal emulators we use today, like iTerm2, GNOME Terminal, and other terminal emulators. They all know and implemented this standard of parsing ASCII and ANSI escape sequences. And now I'm going to describe the usual Ruby developer workflow, which usually looks like, if you're not using IDE, you're probably running these commands like rake, git, vim, Rails generate console server in your terminal. So you're spending a lot of time in terminal, and probably you are watching a lot of screencasts like Railscasts, Distro Software, and others, and they usually are, this is a bad word, not usual, they always are in the form of a video. So the thing is that you are watching a video file with, like in MPG format or like other codecs, to just display a text on a black box. So this is really a bad thing. I think, yeah, this is a quote from me. Recording the work in your terminal with screen capture software and serving it as a video is like recording your text reply as an MP3 file and sending it via email. Because it's just like that. Everything you see in terminal is text. There are no way to display graphics and other elements. So I was thinking about how to, what are the options, how to record terminal but don't use video. And the first thing I found was TypeScript. TypeScript comes with Linux and to some limited degree with OS X. And there are two commands. One command is script. From the manual, we see that it makes a TypeScript of terminal session of everything printed on your terminal. It is useful for students, blah blah blah. So basically, you run it like this. If you have a Linux machine on your lab, you can try it right now. It starts recording a session, and when you run this command, you will end up in a new shell. Everything you will do inside this shell will be recorded to these two files. Session 1 will have all of the output that was printed to the terminal, and session 1 to time will be timing information, what number of characters were printed after what delay, basically. And there's a companion binary called script replay, and it just replays what you have just recorded from these two files, and you use it like this. So that's cool. It's very nice to see, to record and then replay. You have this really weird feeling when you see the comments you typed just a few seconds ago replayed by some ghost or something. And I thought that it's nice to use it for teaching, for tutorials and stuff, similar things. But what would be the way to share this recording with somebody? Send email, attach these two files, and ask the guy politely to save the attachments on the hard drive and then type some command in the terminal to see it. No, that's not gonna work. Nobody's going to do this. Then I thought that maybe I just implement something that allows me to share on the web. So I prepared a list of requirements, and the first one was the recording must be as simple as possible. It should not allow any dependencies, and the playback should be also the simplest as possible. Like you get the URL, open it in your browser, and you just watch it like on YouTube. So ASCII.io was born, and this is a text from the homepage. ASCII is the simplest way to record your terminal and share the recordings. Simply record your terminal session with a single command and playback in your browser. That is what it is. And now I'll show you a quick demo. So you see I'm not lying that it works. Just a second. Okay. Alvaro yesterday said that you should not do live demos on conferences, but it was so tempting to do this. Okay. So, what do you want me to do?
Make a Railjet.
Erase? No. I can delete my code. Okay. Oh, let's try this. Vim. Yeah, here's my Vim. Here's my .vimrc. Actually, you can code in Vim with one hand. It's not like in Emacs that you can't. I need to practice with one hand. Okay, this is like something like this. Okay, we work out where. Oh, I'm still in Vim. Alright. Oh, cool. Yeah. Midnight Commander. Alright. Oops. Lie down. Cool. Okay. And now we'll finish. It finished, and I will upload it. I have a local instance of ASCII on my machine. Alright. And let's play it back. I was talking too much during recording. Yeah, so you see basically it looks like in the terminal, but it's in the browser and it animates. You can pause it if you want, and you can copy a text and paste it to your terminal if you want. Okay, let's proceed. Okay. Alright, there are 4 building blocks of ascii.io, and I will tell you how I implemented them, why in this or that technology, and sometimes why not in Ruby. So there's terminal recorder, which you have just seen, is ascii.io command. There's the site, which you have just seen, which plays back the recording. The site has itself the player inside of it on the page, and there is a background job that creates thumbnails of these ASCII casts. First, the recorder. I thought that because there's a script command that does the recording, I can just use it and don't think about it anymore. And yet, well, on Linux it's working, but on OS X the script command is crippled. It's a different version of script, not compatible with Linux one. It comes from BSD version something, on which OS X is based, and it doesn't save the timing information, so it only saves the output, but you don't have timing, so you can't replay, you can't animate. So it wasn't very useful, and I wanted to support also OS X. So I did a little bit of yak shading and implemented my own script recorder. First I looked at script.c, which is the source code of the user bin script binary on Linux. It's 400 lines of C code, quite readable, but a lot of boilerplate. And the core of it is that it creates a pseudo terminal. And how it works, what does it mean that it creates pseudo terminal? It's when you run the script command, it has its standard input and standard output connected to the terminal application. So the window, the iter, so keyboard is connected to standard input, standard output is connected to the area that prints, that draws the characters. Then it forks and executes a new shell in the child process, and then it gets the file descriptors for standard input and standard output of the spawned process, spawned shell. And then it just proxies standard input from its own standard input to the sub-process standard input, but meanwhile it's saving every byte that gets through it to the file. So looks like a simple task, and I set a list of requirements for the recorder. Like I said, works on both Linux and OS X. Has minimum dependencies. I don't want people to install anything. I want them to just use it. And has simple possible installation. And I didn't want to target the Ruby only because there are lots of heavy terminal users around the world that doesn't do Ruby. There are Python users and system administrators and other people who use terminal daily and would benefit from such a tool, but they wouldn't use if I target only Rubies. First, I was thinking about writing this in Ruby, and what would be the pros of writing this in Ruby? Well, Ruby, we love Ruby. Ruby is my primary language, so it would be just the easiest for me. And Ruby also has a PTY module in its standard library. PTY module handles all this pseudo-terminal stuff. But the cons were that that's Ruby, and I don't want to require Ruby on people's machines. I don't control the environment because these are their laptops, and there can be no Ruby version at all on the machine. Or the other problem was that PTY module differs between 1.8 and 1.9. So basically, that wasn't a good idea. It was doable, but I was looking for other alternatives. Before I told you about script pi, I will show you something. So you wake up after lunch. Here we go. It's asciicasting playing. This is actually at the bottom. You see there's a telnet session open to this miku.acm.something.edu, and it just plays neon cut for eternity. You can just open it and it plays forever. But I think there are only 30 seconds here. Okay. Anyway. Right. ScriptPy. Then I thought about writing this in Python. I'm familiar with Python. I was doing some Python coding in the past, and it's not that much different. So I looked at Python solution, and the big pro was that Python was pre-installed on both Linux and OS X everywhere. All recent versions of OS X and Linux have Python installed, and Python isn't like changing like Ruby, like 1.86, 1.87, 1.9 something. It's just 2. Now it's that version 3 is getting adoption, but that's still not a problem for most of us. And it has also a PTY module in standard library. So I looked at the PTY module, and it haven't changed in years. Like in 10 years, I was looking at source code of this module, and latest changes were from like 3 years ago, and it was like comment added, and it's such a stable thing. But Python is much more stable, unfortunately for us Rubies. But so I decided to write it in Python. It wasn't that easy like it would be in Ruby, but it was the better solution for this tool. So it's about 400 lines of code, so about the same as the C version, but it does much more. Additionally to recording it, it saves environment information like the terminal width and height, shell name and terminal type, something like that. And it uploads to the site using API. So another quote from me, it was just safer to use Python here. I was tempted to use Ruby, but that was the best decision I made about it, because I released it 7 months ago. There are 1,200 recordings, and I had no single bug report about the recorder, either from OS X users or Linux users. So, term coding checked. The site. The site has a list of requirements like this. You should be able to replay asciicast, browse through existing ones by popularity or recency. And you can create your profile, which gathers all of your recordings. That's optional. You don't need to create any profile if you want to just record something. And next slide will be very boring because the site is built in Rails. It's very basic site. The number of controllers there is like I can count them on fingers of my one hand. But the site includes the player. So the player was the next big thing, and I was thinking about how to animate inside the browser. There are several solutions for dynamic content, and Flash, well, that Steve guy famously said it's proprietary, close to, and Flash is dead, so that wasn't an option. Java Applet, you heard about the recent security problems of Java. Every day you have new security risks found in Java. That's good that I didn't choose it. Ruby, it would be awesome to write Ruby in browser, but actually there are some options to do this, like Iron Ruby or JRuby with some Chrome extensions, or native client for Google Chrome can run Ruby, but that also requires user to install something. I didn't want to do it. So obviously I did that with JavaScript. Currently, browsers are very efficient with running JavaScript, so that was a good choice. Actually, it was CoffeeScript, but it compares now to JavaScript. And what I ended up with it was HTML5 JS-based VT100 implementation that understands all of the control sequences, all the ANSI escape stuff that goes through the terminal. And it has multiple renderers. One is pre-element based. Second is canvas based. It's fast. I wanted it to optimize for things like NiamCat and others. And it's tested with Jasmine, Jasmine.js. So the pre-renderer is the default one, and thanks to this, thanks to the being the pre-tag, you can just pose, copy and paste like I showed you. You can select the text, copy and paste it to your terminal. The canvas one is experimental. It works great. It's much faster, but it doesn't support copy and paste because canvas is just a pixel square, and it's not possible to do this. But the whole player is built like you can add additional experimental renderers, and you can write a WebGL renderer. Who's familiar with the terminal for OS called Cathode? The one that shows you the terminal like in 1980 with orange letters. Yeah. So it will be possible to write something like this for asciiio, and I plan to do this when I will get some time. It's fast and responsive, thanks to HTML5. If you will be doing some front-end work, mostly JavaScript stuff, and you will be changing the content on the page in a very fast manner, think about using one of these. Request animation frame was great improvement for asciiio, because basically their playback works like let's find out how much time we need to wait and how many characters we need to print. Then you set timeout in JavaScript, wait for this amount of time, print, and then it goes in a loop. But it all happens in a GUI thread. With this, it will be much better, and the page will be much more responsive in this case. And the web worker was also a good thing, because the whole parsing of ASCII escape sequences is happening in a separate thread, and also it's not blocking UI, giving the much more fluid experience. Okay, and the player is right now part of asciiio, but I plan to extract it so everyone can just attach a JavaScript file to the page and feed it with some data, and it will just work anywhere. Okay, replaying done. Now thumbnails. But before thumbnails, I will show you something. Who is typing terminal and not making any typos? Hands up. Now, this was just an example. I'm also making typos. Do you know Steam Locomotive? When you type ls in your terminal and you make a typo, sometimes you type SL. And SL stands for Steam Locomotive. If on Linux you install a package called SL, every time you mistype ls and type SL enter, something like this happens. And you can't really cancel it. Control-C doesn't work, you need to watch it go through all the screen and then you can, yeah, that's something. Alright, back. Thumbnails. I wanted thumbnails to look like this. It's just each of these 4 squares, white squares, is a thumbnail. It's just a text inside a also styled pre or code element. I wanted them to look to be monocolor, not color, but black and white, yeah. Because it would fit the whole site design I plan to do. And I wanted to have this thumbnail generation in background, like in a rescue job, for example. I wanted to take hey. I want. Sorry? You need to drink water. Oh yeah, okay. Thanks. I forgot. Okay. Work, please work. Okay. It works, yeah, thanks. Okay, so it happens in background. It takes a snapshot at 10-second mark, because usually at the beginning there's nothing more than a prompt printed to the terminal. And it's just a text. So usually when you do thumbnails, you FFmpeg, because FFmpeg can do a snapshot of the video and put it into a JPEG file, but it's not a video file, so that doesn't work. There's XVFB on Linux, which is a X virtual frame buffer, which allows you to run Linux GUI applications inside a virtual X session that doesn't require a physical display, so it can be used on a server. And I was thinking about using Xterm and running script replay inside, but script replay itself doesn't do any snapshots, so I could run it, but I wouldn't have the way to get the text. So I could get the contents of the window by using some screenshotting utility, but I wanted the text, not the image. So probably script replay won't do in this case for thumbnailing. So having this whole interpreter implemented in JavaScript, which I use on this site, I was thinking about using Node.js and running it on the server and piping these two files I have recorded through it and getting some output. There were two ways. I could use standalone Node.js bin and run it with some script, which includes my whole interpreter. Or there was the option to use the Ruby Racer gem, which you can use from Ruby and interface with JavaScript classes functions. So that was an option. I wasn't familiar with Node.js that much to try it, but something told me to try look into manual for Tmax. So who knows what Tmax is? Hands up. Okay, that's fair enough. For those who doesn't, Tmax is a terminal multiplexer. It enables a number of terminals to be created, accessed, and controlled from a single screen. So you have one terminal window, and you can run multiple applications, putting one in the foreground, or splitting a terminal window vertically and horizontally. But how Tmax fits here? I looked at one page, and there's a command in Tmax called capture pane, and it captures the contents of a pane to a specified buffer. Tmax has several buffers where you can put stuff like when copy pasting. And there's another command, save buffer, which allows you to save the contents of the buffer to a file, or by putting a dash instead of file name to print it to standard output. So that was something, and I thought, yeah, so I will use script replay inside a Tmax session, and I will do this snapshot there. So the plan was to have a background job that creates new session, which is detached, and it runs script replay with these two files, timing and the data file. Wait for 10 seconds, and then run these two commands to just get the terminal state. So that was my first attempt. Simple background job, let's say, for rescue, and it was mostly using system to interface with Tmax, and that worked. But it was like it wasn't the best thing here. I was seeing a lot of stuff like this in many Ruby projects where people have dozens of commands they want to run in a system, and there's dozens of system method invocations here. So there was a better way, just use bash and create such a script. The difference is that you don't have a system before, and you can run this script from your shell, and you can easily test it. And in a background job, just run this one single script. So that was much better solution. It's helped me sometimes to just troubleshoot things, but I could just run it from my shell. Okay, one more interlude or something. Yeah, so some fireplace here. This shows like this is really fast, and when a lot of happening, it works. Do you feel a little warmer now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You feel warmer after one more shot.
Ah, yeah. Okay, so you're almost finished. So the ASCII.io, both site and the recorder are open source. They are available at Facebook, on GitHub, and you can you can help me if you feel brave and want to contribute to the project. There are several feature requests I want to make real, but I have a limited amount of time. I'm doing that in my spare time, and there are not so many bugs there. But if you feel brave, contact me and please contribute. And the cool thing about it is also that you can run your own instance of ascii.io. I had many questions from people if they can do this because they were concerned about privacy and they wanted to use the tool inside their companies, but they were afraid that if it's public, on a public site, there may be a case where they forget to hide some specific information like IP addresses or other stuff. So yeah, there's option. You can create a S3 bucket for files for the recordings. You can easily deploy this application to Heroku. It actually the HTTP ascii.io runs on Heroku right now. And what you need to do is just export on the machine all the machines when you record. You need to export this environment variable ascii.io API URL to point to your installation, and then it will record there. Example use cases. Like I said, it's nice for tutorials. You can show how to build a blog app in 15 minutes, but without all the crap with showing the browser, only hardcore terminal coding. You can show some Vim tricks to your colleagues, some Git tutorial and other shell tricks. It's also nice for bug reporting and like some application starts leaking memory or something bad happens during the runtime. And you can just run top or htop utility inside the ascii.io recording and then send a link to the project maintainers showing that you see it's eating 100% of my CPU just after I type this and this. And this is the idea that came at dinner yesterday where we were sitting with Roy and Solnik. And the idea is that you put something like this to the end of your .bash RC, and every bash session, every terminal, when you open a new terminal window or a new terminal tab, new bash is run, and it will automatically start recording to your local installation of ascii.io, so you will have every single thing that you do in your terminal always recorded, so you can play it back. I don't know if I would use it, but that's a cool use case. But you could put something like this in .bash RC on the server, and then you can just see what people do when they log into the account. You know, so yeah. You just need to pass a -y option that it doesn't ask for a confirmation to upload. And I'm going to add a -q switch to be quiet, so it doesn't print anything. So you -q and it will be just stealth, but still recording. So, summary. Use Ruby where it feels natural. I was tempted to use Ruby here and there, but sometimes there are more better options, more stable. And you need to learn other languages. If you don't know other stuff outside of the Ruby community, Ruby technologies, you have a tunnel vision and you don't know what are the other options, and sometimes the options are just like standing next to you, but you don't know about them. So it really opens your possibilities. And without me knowing some Python, bash scripting, and Tmax, I will probably struggle with this writing this tool for a long time. And last thing, believe in what you do. 2 years ago, when I first started thinking about this tool, one side of my head was telling me that, yeah, that's cool, man, and the other one was telling me, but who would use that, or is it even possible to build it so it works great and it's, yeah, so it worked great. So I didn't give up. I wasn't working on it constantly for 2 years because I had some times that when I wasn't that interested in it, but I was still believing that this is a great idea. And now, after a lot of hours of work, I see that people are loving it, and even such a silly project for only the demographic is very small, like developers who are using terminal. This is very small demographic, but the people who use this, they love it, and this is great. So believe in what you do, even if you have the most crazy idea on earth. If you don't try it, you will not know if it was a good idea. Thanks. Any questions?
So you're recording everything that users sees on display, right? And
yes.
Also you're recording keys that user presses.
So the situation with recording of input is like the recorder has ability to record the input, because I plan to add some OSD, like on-screen display, to the player, where I will display all the keys that were being hit. But I didn't implement this yet, so this feature in a recorder is working. You can pass dash I for input, but it's not in a dash help because it's actually not doing anything. I'm not using that information. So as for things like probably you will ask about if you are typing a password somewhere. And
not only, but the best example I can imagine is tutorials,
yeah,
where you need to see what the teacher types.
Yeah. So this is exactly the use case for it, and I'm going to implement that soon. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
I'm here. What's about voice recording?
Where?
Here. On the right side.
Here. Hey.
I think that it's very useful, but normally when somebody is trying to teach someone, he explains what he's doing. And the silent way would be quite boring, I guess.
Yeah. So basically, when there will be a display, is it me? So the display of the keys that were hit will add some action to this probably, but people are asking me about if there's audio support, so they can record also their voice with it. And the thing with it's kind of tricky thing to do, because there are some options, like I could allow people to upload additional audio file to this, so they will do a voiceover and I will play it back with HTML5 audio tag, for example. But there are some things like I allow for clicking and pause, so this would need to be synchronized with pausing also an audio playback. And in theory it should work, but there could be some things like desynchronization, because these are not running by the same code exactly.
Isn't it possible to record the voice from browser?
So you would like to record it like you're on the ASCII side on it, you just click I want to add voice to this and you record. Yeah, I think that you can use some existing solutions. So having the sound playing is not a big deal, and recording also, but the synchronization stuff will be tricky. I have it on my plate, but I haven't found a reliable solution that will work.
I'm not for sure that you can record audio with Flash. I'm not sure about HTML5, but Adobe has some technology for that.
Yeah, you can also record audio with HTML5, but it's not supported by all browsers. So I will be working on that in some future. I don't have any specifics yet.
Thank you.
Do you thought about online streaming of it? So when we can use it for code review, for example?
So basically, the initial plan for this tool was to be like a YouTube for terminal, and I wasn't planning to do any live streaming, so people or many people can see it live in action. I think that if you want some collaboration or just exposing your terminal to some other people, there are much better tools, like you can use Tmax for that. Many people can connect to the host and just watch your Tmax session that you're doing there. So, and this will be probably much more reliable. So at the moment, I'm not planning to add live streaming. If you're interested in live streaming, there's a similar project called CodeStream, and it does live streaming. It's mainly for live collaboration, live streaming.
And other question about cutting. Can we somehow cut that we record for pieces?
No, actually, at the moment you can't do anything like that. So you would like to cut some parts that are boring or something like something?
Probably when they are boring. Yeah, probably when I don't know, we can try to record too much. Yeah, probably we want to focus on the idea that or something is recording. We just want to work, and there are some ideas in my head, and I do it. But okay, I record, for example, 30 minutes, and I want to show 5 minutes from it.
Yeah, we have it covered. So basically, when there's nothing happening on the screen for more than 5 seconds, it's ruined. Fast forward. So you can think for 30 minutes, but it will be only a 5 seconds pause. Then initially there was like some people were watching the ASCII cast, and they were like, oh, that's boring, because someone was thinking about doing stuff and it was like waiting for, or like you install Ruby with RVM and it's in a compiling phase. So you can show people how to install RVM and Ruby, but the compiling was like several minutes, for example, and it was boring. So by default, if the longest break is 5 seconds, so it's much more attractive to watch.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Oh, you?
You mentioned that we can use it, for example, to record our session, for example, on some artist computer or something like that, like an evidence that was done or something wasn't broken, yes? How slowly the recorder makes a session?
Actually, it's not. It doesn't have any impact on the work you do because it's not doing much. What it does when it reads something from either standard input or standard output, it appends it to an in-memory file. So it doesn't do writing to disk when you do stuff on terminal. And at the end, when you exit the shell, it writes it down to a disk and then it uploads it. So when you exit the shell, there's like 1 second or 2 second pause, depending on the network connection and how busy the site is.
So the general, like all the command, the inputs, there are like similar time.
Yes,
There
yes.
is no such slowness
No,
because of gradient.
not at all. Not at all. Initially, the recorder was writing to disk everything that was happening. It was writing to disk immediately, and for some, like I show you the flames memo. There's a lot of data going there, so it was slowing down very much the application that was flaming. And then I just switched to using in-memory file and writing to disk at the end of the recording. So, and then it has absolutely no visible impact.
And another question, what about non-ASCII symbols like Cyrillic one or maybe more closer to you the Poland symbol which is not ASCII?
Try it. It works.